Welcome to the Indian Prairie Podcast. We are hosts, Brian Giovanni, Director of Innovation.
And Candy Michelli, Director of Professional Learning.
In today's episode, we are really excited to welcome a number of key stakeholders to talk about our strategic plan and how it guides our work in our district as well as our buildings.
Today we are joined by our Indian Prairie School District Board President, Lori Donahue, and Dr. Adrian Talley, our Superintendent, to discuss the strategic plan and the development, implementation, and how it guides the work in our district. Welcome, Dr. Talley. Welcome, Board President Donahue.
Thank you so much.
Glad to be here.
Yeah.
We're going to kick off our conversation and go a little bit deeper into the strategic plan and talk with you about why you felt it was important for us to have a strategic plan and why now. Can we start with you, Dr. Talley?
Of course, thank you. So the strategic plan helps everyone, the whole community, know where we're going as a school system, the goals, the strategies. Indian Prairie has always been strategic, but finally we have codified what our strategic plan will be for the next 5 years. And so everyone will know what our goals will be held accountable for it. And so I felt it was important that we have this at this point in time.
Great. Thanks, Dr. Talley. What are your thoughts? Why do you think that we need that to guide our work?
The thought of having a strategic plan was actually initiated when we interviewed Dr. Talley. He came in and talked about his observation that we did not have one. And although we've been very strategic in our decision making, as Dr. Talley has shared, we didn't have that longer term vision laid out on paper. And so we, coming from a corporate environment, we always had a long-term plan. So, we didn't live year to year. We needed a longer outlook for our decision making and for our ideas of what we wanted to bring to our school district. So it was important for us to put that in place.
Thank you.
Dr. Talley, a number of years ago, we worked with our community and our stakeholders within our buildings, our building admin, our students, to develop our Porch of a Graduate and the competencies that come with that. How does the Porch of a Graduate connect to the strategic plan, and how does that look like moving forward?
I thought the work that was done for Portraits of a Graduate was great work, and I didn't want to throw it out. I thought it was important that we use that work as the basis for our strategic plan, and so that's what we did. Within the strategic plan, the goals that we have, the strategies that we have, should lend themselves to students being able to graduate based upon what we see as a portrait of a graduate. The resiliency, the critical thinking skills, all of those things I believe we are working toward with our strategic plan for students to be able to graduate with what we know will be helpful for them to be successful.
President Donahue, you had a chance to go through the Porch of a Graduate work as well as the strategic plan work. How do both of these support you and your fellow board members in your work in supporting all of our key stakeholders in our district?
So as a board, we made that decision years ago to invest the money to create a portrait of what we wanted our students to look like beyond District 204. What were the skills that they needed? How was that changing versus today's needs? And to put that in place, we hired a great firm and rolled it out throughout the district. I was at the holiday concerts recently, and they actually had it up there at the concerts emphasizing the skills that we want these students to build while they're here. And our strategic plan now is supporting that by putting in place the actions that need to be taken to get us to those skills that we want to deliver to our students for the future.
I think you highlighted a really good point about how our teachers and staff have done a nice job of kind of embedding that in their instruction and making it known to our public and really being intentional about those skills that our students are leaving our school district with and how that can carry into their future post-secondary plans, which is amazing. Yeah. So Dr. Talley, President Donahue, thank you so much for kind of giving us an overview of the strategic plan and where we're going next. So we look forward to continuing the conversation here in a little bit with you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. The strategic plan outlines 4 priority areas. For each priority, we've invited 2 stakeholders to discuss our important work and how it impacts student learning. Priority 1 focuses on student development. IPSD 204 ensures learning environments have caring relationships, engaging lessons, and challenging curriculum instruction. To monitor these efforts, the learning community is dedicated to looking at multiple measures of student empowerment and will be accountable to the community for the results. Today we are joined by Deputy Superintendent Doug Icarius and Fry Elementary Principal Lori Hillman. Welcome, Doug and Lori.
Thank you for having us.
It's great to see you.
Doug, let's start with you. Can you take us a little bit inside this priority and what does it mean for student learning and instruction?
Well, it's very intentional that priority one is about focusing on students. That's what we do as a school district. And there's really three main components of this priority. One is providing equitable experiences for all of our students. We also want to ensure that we're providing a high quality curriculum as well as instruction and looking at how those practices support student growth. And finally, looking at our systems of support and how we can support students both socially and emotionally. There's also some highlights of this include the completion and promotion of an equity plan. We're hoping to complete early on in the strategic plan. We're going to be reviewing all of our curriculum and instructional practices. We're going to look at, be trying to see how our Portrait of a Graduate connects for all students across the district. And then once again, looking at that systematic, multi-tiered system of supports so that all students can find success.
Thanks, Doug. So the strategies include an emphasis on student experiences, interests, and passions. Lori, why is this so important for students to help them achieve their greatest potential?
Well, during the strategic planning process, we had student participants, and our student participants made it very clear that they wanted to focus on the whole student. So we discussed that focus not just on academics, but also on social emotional growth and things that are outside of the classroom. And so definitely, passions, interests, meaningful experiences really connect to that development of the whole student and really do kind of circle back to that portrait of a graduate. And in our strategic planning session, we even looked at that statement of student growth and changed the goal language to student development because student growth really had an academic connotation, and maybe it's just semantics, but student development really was intentional to capture all aspects of student life and what we're trying to accomplish.
So as principal of Frye, you have an awesome opportunity to support a lot of students in their academic development, their growth and development. How does this priority really support the individual needs of kids, and how do we support them as they grow through our system?
Well, when we look at MTSS, our multi-tiered system of supports, we have to be systematic, and with 34 schools, that can be a challenge. But by solidifying and strengthening our MTSS process as part of the strategic plan, we can ensure that no matter what school you attend, you're going to have access to the support that you need at the time that you need it, whether that be academic or social emotional, whether that be short-term or more long-term and comprehensive.
Strategy 5 highlights the importance of continuing to build a strong culture. Doug, what does this look like in our schools, and how does the district strive to support our building leadership?
Well, a positive school culture is critical for student success. Our buildings know that. We've continued to try to provide that for students, but all students should have an environment where they feel cared for, where they feel supported, where they feel like they can take risks, and where they feel like they can be challenged. I think our principals and our building leadership teams do an incredible job of trying to do that on a daily basis. And as a district, we need to make sure that we're ensuring that they have the resources to continue to do that for all students.
Well, Doug and Lori, thanks for giving us an overview of our priority number 1. I think, Doug, you actually did a nice transition to priority number 2 and making sure that our staff have the resources, which is investing in staff. Mm-hmm. And priority 2, IPSD 204 acknowledges that a culture of positive well-being is critical for all staff to deliver on student outcomes. Therefore, IPSD 204 is committed to fostering strong connections to value staff and ensuring equity and elevation of voice. Doug, you've had the unique opportunity to serve as the Assistant Superintendent of HR as well as the Deputy Superintendent. And along with the Board of Education, and our district has been talking about the teacher shortage.
Yeah.
How is the strategic plan supporting that, and how do we kind of stay in front of that to make sure that we're investing in our staff, but also addressing the things that are coming nationally?
Yeah. All right. We've seen the teacher shortage coming for quite some time, and so we knew that investing in a staff was going to have to be a priority in our strategic plan. Ensuring that teachers feel valued, that their voices are heard, that they're part of our solutions to meet the students' needs. And we feel by ensuring that we're providing them learning opportunities, teachers they want to learn. Things are constantly changing, and they want to make sure that they're having the best professional learning opportunities that they can get, and we try to do the best that we can in providing that. We also collaborate with our associations to ensure that we're meeting those needs. And we know that word of mouth is key, and if our teachers are feeling valued, we want that to spread to others, which I think will help support our staffing as we move forward into the future.
That's great, and I love what you said, and I've heard it time and time, is that student voice is so important, but so is teacher voice. And when we're listening to that teacher voice and doing something about it, we hope that trickles down to listening to the student voice as well. So that's really important. Thanks for sharing. So the priority emphasizes the importance of supporting professional learning in our district. Can you share a little bit about this work across the district and how it impacts our stakeholders?
As a large district, it's we have so many different needs. And we have so many teachers that take on so many different challenges across our district. Professional learning is a constant, and we have a lot of priorities. So, it's important that we listen to what our teachers want and need, but we also have to keep in mind of what we see coming and how we can get in front of that to make sure that we're staying innovative and being a leader in that area, so that our teachers want to be the best, and I think they count on us to make sure that we're delivering high quality professional learning opportunities. We also have a history of where we lean on our experts, which are our teachers, to also provide those opportunities, and I honestly feel like they crave those opportunities.
They do, and it's great that we get that feedback from them to make sure we're moving ahead. With that, Lori, can you share a little bit about things that are happening specifically at Frye to support staff?
Sure. So as we've alluded to, our instructional leadership team really takes to heart the building needs and even surveys teachers to find out what your learning needs are. And if the district kind of is the overarching professional learning support, our instructional leadership team at the building level really strives to tailor to our individual building and be responsive in real time to what teachers might be struggling with, where they might be feeling success, and have the opportunity to share with each other. So our professional learning at the building level, we of course have our Professional Development Wednesday, which is at the heart of our professional learning. And, that might be teacher to teacher instruction collaboration. It might be having someone come in to support our staff. It's really a wide range of activities, but again, it goes back to being teacher driven and responsive to teachers' needs. And at the heart of all of that is collaboration and building that sense of community within our staff. So we try to kind of marry the professional learning, teacher staff development with building community and promoting collaboration. And we've been able to do those things pretty nicely.
So you guys did an awesome job of kind of talking about how do we support our staff. Every year, though, we have the opportunity to welcome over 100 new staff members in a variety of different roles, from special ed to classroom teachers to you name it, and they're welcomed into our district. Our C&I team, as well as our human resources team, have done an awesome job of really collaborating to support those new teachers as they come on, because they are coming in with different backgrounds, different experiences, and different ideas of what their classroom looks like. Can you talk a little bit about that evolution, Doug, on how do we support them to make them feel welcome, but also supported as they start their new journey in our district?
Yeah, that's a great question. Every time we're out at a recruitment fair, and just a month ago we were at a recruitment fair, and the top question that new teachers are asking is, how am I going to be supported when I go there? And so we do a lot of different things in our district, both formally and informally. Typically, we kick it off with a new teacher kind of institute session where we spend several days with our new teachers trying to prepare them on just welcoming into the district, give them kind of the do's and don'ts, but then also going into our curriculum and instruction practices that they can hopefully build on throughout. We also know that we depend on our teachers to help mentor and guide our new teachers, to tell them what that looks like from the building level or where they can go when they need supports. And most recently, we've worked very closely with our IPEA and IEA to formally mentor teachers and providing an expert either at their grade level or in their content area that they're focused on, and someone that they can meet with regularly to talk about their role and how they're doing in the district. And then we look at providing professional learning throughout the year for them, whether that's around equity or instructional practices or social emotional needs, and how to address those with the students or for themselves. We know that that can be stressful sometimes, being in your first year in a new position, and ensuring that we're there to support them so that they can best support our students.
And I would add that our new staff bring energy, and they may come in asking how am I going to be supported, but the reality is they also provide new ideas and new approaches and an energy and enthusiasm that is really important to the building as well. So I would say that it's a two-way street.
I think to highlight, it's a little bit different, but our Grow Your Own program that the HR department has fostered to bring in some interested students at the middle school and high school level. You can see when they work with our staff at the elementary, middle school, and high school level, the energy that our staff get from them about people who are really interested, like, wow, this passion, this excitement really kind of fosters it. So
yeah, you hear the phrase, this is what it's all about,
Right.
and kind of brings it all back.
Yeah, the Twitter pictures on those days are the best
Yeah,
because
right.
you can see the positive energy that's coming from it. So,
Right.
Doug and Lori, thank you for giving us an overview of Priority 1 and Priority 2 and how we support our staff and what that looks like moving forward. So we look forward to continuing this work in our district, and thanks again for joining us.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Priority 3 is engage with the community. IPSD 204 is committed to being a strong school district. Dynamic stakeholder engagement goes hand in hand with strong districts. Therefore, IPSD 204 is committed to communicating, engaging, and connecting with the learning community. Today, we welcome back our Superintendent, Dr. Adrienne Talley, and our IPSD School Board President, Donahue, to discuss a little bit more about our stakeholders and how we're committed to communicating and engaging, connecting with the learning community. So, Dr. Talley, with this priority, the commitment to engage parents and other community stakeholders is important to us. Can you share what this means for Indian Prairie School District 204?
Yeah, great question, because all great school systems must have a strong partnership with the parents and the community. And Indian Prairie has always had, I think, that strong relationship. The strategic plan just illuminates that a little bit more. When we think about the partnerships we want to have, we're thinking about how schools partner with parents, bringing them in, volunteering, how central office partners with parents in our community, having them engaged with part of on some of our stakeholder groups. We did that work when we were doing the boundary study and the strategic plan. We had parents who were involved who gave us some great information that can help us, and also our students as we think about how we partner with them, because we're helping build their lives going forward.
Thank you.
President Donahue, Doug in our Priority 1 talked about the work of our district in terms of equity. How does the Board of Education support that equity work, and how do we engage the community in that work as well?
So equity is a very important topic for our school board. We, a lot of people don't know this, but we rate ourselves after every board meeting. And one of the ratings is, did we consider equity in our questions and our decision making? A couple of years ago, we built an equity statement that was adopted at the district level. And at the state level, we actually built an equity statement that got the 857 school boards across the state of Illinois to have an equity focus also. So for us, we want to make sure each one of our students feels nurtured and recognized in our district, and we purposely make sure all of our decision making and our actions support that for our students.
Thank you.
So our business partnerships are powerful opportunities for our students. Dr. Talley, how are we engaging with our communities to strengthen these relationships?
So the business partnerships, when I think about, for example, our STEP students, we have them go out to get employment so that they can transition from the K-12 schools to independent life. Our businesses come in and we'll do business job fairs with our students. We'll talk to them about how to interview. But I also think about our colleges and universities and what they do by doing dual enrollment. All of these things play a role. We know we have to have the best school system because businesses, when they want to attract employees want to be able to say your children will be able to go to Indian Prairie. So when we think about our partnerships with businesses, it's a back and forth type of situation. We are giving to them, they're giving to us, because it's enhancing our children.
And to continue on some of the things you mentioned, those business partnerships, they also see that as the talent pipeline that will eventually be coming, because they're investing in that community and they want those students to come back and be employees of their
That's right.
district in all kinds of areas and careers and all the opportunities that are available to them. So I think that's a great point that you made, Dr. Talley, about the importance of those partnerships, that we're both in it together. We're working on the K-12 part and they're working on the next part, but how do those two blend and the importance of that.
That's right. Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you for sharing all your thoughts with us today about our strategic plan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For our final priority, we're excited to welcome back Dr. Talley and welcome Chief School Business Official Matt Shipley to join our conversation to talk about Priority 4, which is optimizing resources and operations. IPSD 204 is committed to being an innovative, experiential, and inclusive environment to enhance educational outcomes for the entire learning community. This will occur through identifying opportunities to engage with stakeholder groups and determine essential facility and staffing needs, while being transparent to taxpayers on resources and investments. As part of this priority, Matt, I know you and your team have done a lot of work in really looking at a master facility plan. What does that mean? What does it look like? And how is that going to help us support our strategic plan?
Sure. So I think I'll take sort of the second half of that question first and just say it's really exciting as part of this process that we really have identified some strategic goals and initiatives and priorities for the business office, because I think traditionally we've seen our role as make sure the budget's balanced and make sure we can meet our financial obligations. And while it's important for the organization and for our community to have some priorities that really do tie directly to the student experience and what's going on in our buildings is really exciting for us. And to be honest, you don't see that in a lot of strategic plans. I've talked with some of my counterparts who are districts with strategic plans. They say, nothing for the business office in the strategic plan. So this was really a great process for us and exciting for myself and our team to be a part of. Specific to the facility assessment, that's a process we're starting in January of 2023. Going to be a 6 to 9 month process, possibly a little longer by the time we finalize everything. But it really is an exciting opportunity for us to reimagine our buildings, to reimagine our 4 million plus square feet of educational facilities, and how we can make sure those facilities are serving our student needs, not just currently, but also into the future. So not just what are we doing in our classrooms today, what could we be doing with some modern improvements, and what do we really think education looks like 10 plus years into the future, and start planning to make sure our facilities meet that educational needs and models.
What I love that I've experienced myself is with your team is that if it's good for students, you're willing to open the conversation and think about it and being creative. If budget isn't there, how can we be creative to make things happen as long as it's the focus is for student learning and improvement. So I think that's always been a really guiding force with you and your team, and that's helped support this process along the way. How does the district find the balance of supporting our buildings? You mentioned this a little bit in your previous answer, but at the same time investing in our spaces that supports the landscape for instruction and student learning.
Sure. We asked our prospective partners in this process, and we'll be engaging with an architecture firm, possibly multiple firms, depending on the skill sets and needs to work through this process. And we've asked them to look at it with a lens that has 4 components. So building infrastructure is one lens, but if that was the only lens, that would be something our team would do and realistically wouldn't be part of the strategic plan. That would be something that we could kind of do on our own. But it's when we add the lens of supporting our educational environment and our learning spaces and our programming needs, adding the lens of supporting safety and security needs in our buildings, adding the final lens of sustainability, building buildings that are going to be resilient no matter what we see in the next 5, 10, 20 years when it comes to changes in the climate and how energy is generated. So it's when we start adding all those lenses that this really becomes a comprehensive process. One example I kind of think of is we talk again about safety and security, and it's easy to look at that kind of as in its own sort of component and think through not just what some of our traditional safety and security concerns have been around life safety and fire and tornado here in the Midwest. And we've added active intruder training and things like that. But I think of safety security, I want to make sure our spaces are welcoming environments for our students, that they're spaces that de-escalate conflict, that provide students with areas in the building they feel comfortable going to kind of calming spaces, de-escalation spaces. Are our spaces supporting social emotional learning so that we're not getting to a point where we have conflict in our buildings, either between students or staff or community members? So in my mind, that's an example of, instead of taking a topic and narrowly focusing on it and doing what we think is best, maybe just our team or a small subset, let's globalize it and let's talk with all stakeholders so that we can build buildings that are just holistic in how they tackle some of those topics.
We really appreciate that collaboration just from the C&I team, but also as you start to connect with the special education department, making sure that our spaces support students, the technology department, and making sure that our future spaces support the evolution of instruction. So I think those are all great pieces. And back to kind of the initial conversation, Dr. Talley, I see a lot of Porch River graduate opportunities that you guys have connected with and allowing that to kind of come to light through this conversation as well. So thanks for that collaboration and sharing that insights. Dr. Talley, can you share a little bit about some things that are happening on the state level and national level in regards to investing in resources and buildings, and then maybe some challenges that are rising and how we're trying to be proactive to confront those?
It's hard to know what the crystal ball will tell us about what's happening, a few years down the road, but I think at the national and state level, I think everyone's looking very definitely at how do we have spaces that sort of grow with the students and grow with their needs. We know, for example, the work that teachers are doing with giving students the opportunity to work independently, to work collaboratively, to do project-based learning. All of that's important. And so how do we have classroom spaces, building spaces that allow us to be flexible in what we need based upon what the children are needing at the time or what the teachers are trying to teach through. So I think from the state and national level, all of that's being examined as places are building new schools. I just read an article just yesterday, and they were talking about the need for the flexibility in the classrooms, more opportunities for children to come together, more opportunities for classes to come together to do the work that needs to be done. So that's some of the things that I'm seeing.
That's great.
Well, thank you for sharing a little bit about Priority 4 and how we're investing our resources and really being transparent with our community and giving our community an opportunity to engage in this work and the feedback to it. So thanks for sharing that information and kind of where we're headed with it, which is exciting work ahead.
Thank you.
And Dr. Talley, we've talked a lot today about the strategic plan.
Yeah.
What excites you most about next steps and what our future looks like?
So I think one of the things that excites is our ability to, at the end of the year, talk about what were we able to accomplish the first year? This is a 5-year plan, and we won't accomplish everything immediately, nor should we. But I look forward to being able to share what we were able to do during this first year. I think also the fact that it's as Matt mentioned, we're going to be doing the facilities plan, and so that tags into this. We will have an equity plan that will be connected to this as well. All of that is connected to this strategic plan, and I think it gives a bigger focus for where we're going to go as a school district. I look forward to the next 5 years and our ability to see how all of this work produces even better the results that we see in our children as we prepare them for their future lives.
That's great. Well, thank you for being here today. Thank you for sharing all this information. I think we've learned a little bit more about the strategic plan and looking forward to all of the next steps that we have in place to help support our students and staff and our community.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to Dr. Talley and his team for sharing about the strategic plan and how it guides the work of their department. In addition, we want to send a huge thank you for our entire community for being a part of this work as we developed a 5-year plan with our strategic plan to guide the work of our district to make sure all of our students achieve their greatest potential.
Thanks for being part of the conversation.